All you jumps fans, buckle up because it's time for another What a Shout here in the studio. Myself, Dave Orton from the Racing Post, brought to you by our sponsors, Bet365. All the big calls on all the big races, and what a big weekend it is. All changed, ding ding goes the bell, because the jumpers are coming out. A brilliant weekend, Charlie Hall weekend, and there is also a magnificent meeting in Down Royal as well. And without further ado, let's go straight to our guest. We've had him on as a pundit. You've been calling for it out there. Upping the Ante returns, I believe it's next week. Gavin Lynch from County Meath, just outside Dublin. He comes back. There he is. Gav, how are you?
Good, how are you? How are you, Dave?
Marvellous. You look like you're in a hotel room, but either that or you've got a very, very well decked out front room there, my friend. And there's a picture behind you. What's that?
That's horses galloping in the morning of Cheltenham.
Well, I mean, we'll have to take your word for it. We can only see their feet, mate, but we shall take your word for it. It's probably Towster or something like that, isn't it? Gav, great to have you back on. We had you in, didn't we? I had you in Dovecote weekend, Adonis weekend. You came in, you sat in with myself, Dickie Johnson and Gav Sheehan in the studio. We had you as a pundit. Could you ever imagine that we'd have had a year like this? How's it been for you, Gavin, first and foremost? What have you been keeping yourself busy with? You don't really punt too much on the flat. It's all been about jumps. How have you survived?
Yeah, it's been a tough year. I suppose trying to keep the mental health side of it is important. Doing a bit of cycling this year, Dave. So I started that, and I do that a couple of times a week. And yeah, you have to be doing something. A bit of golf during the summer.
Do you have a table tennis table at home? When Gav came over to the studio, he basically took on everyone he possibly could at table tennis or pool while he spent the day here. And I'd say, turns out he's a bit of a whiz.
Me and you had a good game at the pool, but Paul Kealy is just too good at the table tennis. He was amazing.
You've introduced
I'm a bit like Gary
perfectly.
Neville at table tennis.
You've introduced him perfectly. Before we go to Paul and Pat, of course, Cooney from Bet365, tell us a little bit Up in the Ante. It's coming back next week.
Yeah, it's starting on Tuesday the 10th, so we're going to film every Tuesday right up till March. So myself and that big bad man, David Jennings, so that should be good.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. Looking all about Cheltenham with some big hitters along the way, right?
Yeah, there's even been a few favourites have ran already in the last few weeks. Manila Indo ran. You also had the horse that's favoured for the Triumph Hurdle, Equilixios. You also had Rouge Vif and St. Roy and Galvin, and yeah, it's been some good horse already. Yeah,
so no doubt you'll be getting the down and dirty on those. Who do they like, who don't they? So you heard it, Tuesday the 10th. Bet365 sponsor that as well. We cannot wait. Paul Kealy then coming back in. You were saying your dad's from County Meath as well.
No, he's from Dublin, Cabra, which is just outside Dublin.
Everywhere's just outside Dublin.
I've no idea where. I've only been to Cabra once in my life.
Is that right?
Came from, yeah.
So you've got a full half Irish?
Yeah, and a full half, yeah.
I said to you, you hide that well. He went, where do you think the surname's from, man?
Where do you think Kealy comes from?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have Gav back on, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Did you beat him at table tennis?
I did beat him at table tennis. Not as easily as he suggests, but I was good when I was a boy.
Is that right? Who'd have thought that? Full of surprises. It's Pat Cooney as well. Pat, good to have you back. Now, where are you this week, Pat?
I'm about a mile away from Wetherby Racecourse at the moment. Our big 2 days at up here, Charlie Hall Chase weekend. So about a mile away. I could walk it, but I think I'll drive it.
Unbelievable. He walks courses, so what's the weather like up there? That's first and foremost. I know you and Paul have been talking about this, but give us a quick update on what the ground might be like at Wetherby tomorrow.
Yeah, driving up last night, it was drizzle most of the way. Stopped this morning. It's good to soft in places. I'm told it'll be dry there today, but rain tomorrow. So do your sums, good to soft in places. Good jumping ground, I think you call it.
Good jumping ground. I tell you what, we're focusing in and out on Pat there, weren't we? He looks like he's upgraded. You can tell they're sponsoring this weekend, can't you?
Exactly.
Some of the rooms they've stuck him in this year.
That place is Newmarket, wasn't it? They seem to live in throughout the season. But yeah,
that's it. Pat Cooney about to spend the rest of the season at Wetherby. All right then, fantastic. Let's get stuck into the action. We've got a hot topic coming for you, of course. It's a big one this week. We'll be looking at the racing clues from the previous weekend. What exactly went down at Cheltenham? What did the guys like? What didn't they like? And of course, we'll be giving you all the big race previews before the naps and some big calls. So if you've not signed up for our sponsors, Bet365, now is a good time. Why? Because we have a referral code, SHOUT365. Just type that in. Minimum deposit of £5 for up to 100 bet credits. Terms and conditions, they do apply. Right then, hot topic this week. Plenty we could have chosen from. However, if you follow the Racing Post on Twitter on Thursday, we filmed this on Friday, you would have seen a headline: a startling 60% of owners in Britain and Ireland are considering reducing or indeed coming out of the game because, Paul Kealy, of the race day experience and just what's going on with coronavirus, prize money, all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all COVID related because obviously, I mean, the prize money, which isn't brilliant in Britain anyway, is obviously dropped because of COVID. It's nobody's fault, but then if you've got a hobby that you can't take part in, then you're going to worry why you're spending the money.
Yeah. I mean, if I said to you, I've got this leg problem.
Yeah.
This year of all years, would you know,
Yeah.
and we're not sure when we're going to be allowed back. What would you say to me?
Exactly.
Remember, this is a family show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just to say, why would you want to get involved at the moment? Yeah. I mean, it is a little bit scary. We're hoping that there'll be a vaccine and it'll be over, but in a few months' time. But obviously, France, who were allowing 5,000 people in at one stage, have gone back into full lockdown. Nobody at the track. And because they've done that there's no chance now whatsoever of anyone being allowed, any owners, big crowds being allowed on the racecourses for the whole of the jump season, I would say. And the problem with that is that's going to affect prize money again. I mean, we've still got owners are allowed to go, but they're not getting any sort of experience out of it, really. A lot of the tracks are doing their level best with trying to entertain them while they are there, but it's still not the same as it was.
You would have picked up the paper this morning, Friday morning, as we were recording, and the first big hitter has come out and said, this is it. Because of COVID, we are reducing our interest, and it's Sheveley Park Stakes. It's a massive operation. Yeah,
big operation. I just wonder, they say they're going to, they're cutting down 20% of their flat. They're getting more and more involved in the jumps over the last few seasons as well now. I don't know whether that's a complete change in policy. I mean, there's not a great deal. There's far less money in breeding.
It does say flat string, doesn't it?
And racing. There's far less money in breeding and racing, but they seem to enjoy it. But no, I mean, you can't blame anybody for cutting costs. We know that everybody's going to be doing that for the next year or so.
Yeah, I guess on a positive, it has been the horsehead training sale this week, and apparently it's been pretty buoyant there. So it's not all awful at the moment. The sales have been pretty good. Gavin, let's come to you. What on earth has it been like in Ireland? Unlike over here, there was just a short period, wasn't it, where the owners could actually go back on track?
Yeah, I didn't go racing. Obviously, myself, I don't own a horse at the moment. But yeah, I think we've got probably 6 months where owners will put up with it. When you do buy a share in a horse or you buy a horse, you'll probably buy it to own it for 3, 4, 5 years. So it's not just for 1 year. So hopefully in 6 months' time, owners will be let back. I think we've got a 6-month period of grace to go with.
Okay, so Gavin Lynch, 6 months as well. Hopefully that might be, the period, but we just don't know, do we?
All dependent on a vaccine, basically. I mean, everybody is.
Yeah, we've had Nick Rust as well coming up and saying the race courses, genuinely, if we don't get back by next summer, we are now going to see some. So it's getting a bit scary out there. Pat Cooney, what's your take on this?
Well, all hobbies cost money, but all hobbies are supposed to be fun. And I would imagine owning a racehorse is no fun at all at the moment. Even if you're a major player or as part of a syndicate, I think you keep your hand in your pocket for 6 months or so and see how you go. So they are worrying times.
Worrying times, no doubt then. Okay, so if you're an owner out there, we feel for you, the lifeblood of the sport. Keep us going. Time for your first big race of this huge jumps weekend, and it is the Charlie Hall, the 210 at Wetherby. Let's go straight to Pat Cooney then, sponsoring the card for a market update.
Well, we were delighted to see Surname in the 5-day decks, and even more delighted when he was confirmed as a runner. So at the moment, he's a 2-1 favourite for the race, but it's like most people say about him. Last time we saw him, he had a heavy fall. Is he better left-handed, right-handed? But he is the best, and it's probably going to get to a backable price, I think.
Probably going to get to a backable price. We just got Pat there. His internet's going in and out. It's not like a Bruce Lee movie at the moment, but we shall go with it. And I think it's all about seeing in this race, isn't it?
But it is, yeah. I mean,
it has to be.
And Pat's hit it on the nail there. But what do you call a backable price?
Yes.
Now, he's 2-1 already. If this race was over 2 mile 5 furlong at Ascot, you wouldn't get 1 to 2. And this
so
is
that's because official ratings, he's just clear, isn't he?
Official ratings, I think, at the weight, he has something like a minimum of £13 in hand of everything. He's rated 176. I think Vindication is 161. He's giving £2 to Vindication. So on his best form, he wins by a mile, and he's a monster odds-on shot. But he hasn't run left-handed since Aintree as a novice.
From 3 left-handed.
He hasn't run that often left-handed, but his best form was about £10 worse than his best novice form. and his one attempt at 3 miles, he finished, well, he was walking home at Kempton.
A lot of horses were.
He was second, but Clandersovo romped away from him. So he has question marks to answer. Now, Paul Nicholls was absolutely convinced that he would get 3 mile. And Harry Comden said that the horse he didn't get the same feel from him from the start in the King George. So you may forgive him that. But there are obvious question marks. And then we've got, it's good to soft in places. There's a hell of a lot of rain forecast for Saturday morning. And
it's got you excited.
We can talk. It could be very soft ground. Last year, if you remember, was a right war of attrition. ASO took it up in the straight trade. The odds on looked like he was going to get there, and he was walking home in the end.
Ballyoptic, who comes back, won the race last
and
year.
Elegant Escape came from nowhere to finish second. You know what I mean? So he could be a real sort of attrition.
It's a gruelling race, traditionally, Kills, isn't it? Some very good horses have been beaten.
It can be, and yes, there's only a couple of favourites. One, I mean, there have been some strange favourites.
Yes.
I think the last 2 favourites that got beat were actually officially the worst horses in the race anyway.
He has won it with Silviniaco Conti.
He's won it with Silviniaco Conti, but Silviniaco Conti got beat at a short price. Q-Card got beat at a short price. Long Run got beat at a short price. So it does happen.
Yes.
It's all about being ready. I mean, on balance, I'm probably going to oppose him, but it's one of those things in hindsight.
If he goes 5-2,
I'd be afraid to back him. I would be afraid to lay him.
Okay, so
in hindsight, if he wins, everyone will say, "How on earth could that go for that price?" And if he gets beat, they'll all say, "Well, I told you so. 3 mile, no chance, left-handed." So
could be an egg on face.
Exactly.
You were always going to take this on. I think I've taken it on as well.
I think the value is gone.
Yeah. Who's going to beat him?
Well, Vindication, I think, is the most likely win. He goes extremely well fresh. He proved himself left-handed when a close fourth in
that was a tick he needed. Yeah,
he just needed that one, but he goes exceptionally well fresh. He loves soft ground. He's jumping his ace, and he's probably got more improvement in him as well.
Is he the stoutest stayer?
I think he'll get 3 mile at Wetherby, okay, for sure.
Yeah.
He might not quite have got home at Cheltenham, but I wouldn't, he was still humping a fair weight and only his second run.
You mentioned value. I'm sort of beating myself up for not having taken the bigger prices earlier in the week, because I'm a whopping Vindication fan. It's with a heavy heart that I oppose him with Sam Spinner, who's got quite a bit to find over fences, but I think he loves Wetherby. Jed O'Keefe's going to have him. I just think he's the now horse in the race.
He does love Wetherby, but I mean, his novice form I don't think is brilliant. His jumping
over hurdles, Kills. Yes. He's second in stayers hurdles.
Yes.
He's
Oh God, He's a very good hurdler. But he's always the best part of a year off. He was what you would call novice-y in his chases last year. Yeah. And you ain't going to get away with it at this level.
He still was 3 from 3.
Well, he's still got to improve. Yeah, but I mean, he hasn't been beating superstars, has he?
Wetherby fences for me aren't that brutal. Anyway, okay, 2 opinions there. Gavin Lynch, who wins the Charlie Hall?
Not surname, anyway.
Not surname. So, is it a price thing for you, or just you don't like the horse? He does have a Marmite legion of fans, doesn't he? He had one tribe that love him, cannot get beaten, the best horse in training, or the other tribe, like 2 of this, can't go left-handed and probably doesn't stay.
Yeah, well, if you have 20 quid at 2-1, you'll lose, and if you have 20 quid at 5-2, you'll still lose. I looked at his video in Newbury. He jumped right-handed, jumped out to his right down the back. In Aintree, he jumped a bit straighter. I would just worry about 3 miles soft ground, left-handed. I think you have to take a horse like that on a 2-1. You have to.
With?
I think Sam Spinner jumps too slow. I think Vindication is some quite good going left-handed, even though he's a huge danger. Maybe Ballyoptic. He won it last year. I know he's 10, but he stays forever. So maybe Ballyoptic or Vindication. Probably just Ballyoptic, but I think you have to take on surname.
Vindication, I think we can agree, is a value horse. If he was the right price, we all quite like him. Ballyoptic, Gav, my worry about him was he had a run coming into it last year, and I think this is probably a slightly deeper race. Pat Cooney, just give us your idea of the likely winner.
There's a few people backing the outsider, I Write, at fancy prices. He was second to Notswell, who's come out and won again since. It's that sort of a race you're looking for the sexy each way alternative. So I'll throw a dart at I Write. He wouldn't even hit the board, but he might just run on and be placed.
Left field selection there. Gav Lynch, he says if you have a 20 quid at 2-1 or 5-1, doesn't matter on surname, you're going to lose. That's why we love him. Got a great offer for the members club. If those of you that want the premium content out there, that's of course tips from Paul Kealy, Dave Jennings in Ireland giving you all the big views over there, the race analysis, the quotes, the race replays. It's all there for you. The RPR spotlights. It's all there. Get closer to the action with the members club. £5 per week for the rest of the year. Right then, racing clues from last weekend, and it was the final crossover weekend, wasn't it? Let's come to you, Paul Kealy. We'll go just to Cheltenham. On the Friday, that was an interesting day, wasn't it? Rouge Vif, for example. Is he one that can now step up, do you think?
He looked pretty sensational that day, didn't he? I mean, we've had other horses win handicaps. So I remember Fox Norton won a handicap there,
Yes.
but he went up to virtual, Grade 1 class, and I think ground is probably key to him. He doesn't want it really deep, but he did look really good that day. And you got to remember, Harry Whittington, Simply the Bets, had a bit of a quiet season and came out last year and really improved, and maybe Rouge Vif would do the same. So yes, certainly wouldn't rule him out from taking a hand in a division that could become more open than people think it is.
You've just finished my next question for me, quite right. And just a quick one, Kills. You put up a couple of weeks ago on What a Shout a massive price for the champion chase. Looks like Griantine is entered maybe for the Holden Cup on Tuesday.
Yeah, Griantine, Griantine, or whatever you call it. Yeah, I just think it's very interesting horse the way he travelled through that Grand Annual. He's got to step up. He's only had a handful of starts over fences. He's still young.
Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting. Be interesting to see whether he can step up. Wait and see.
Anything else from Cheltenham before I move it?
Anything else? Well, I mean, Botox Haas beating All Mankind, fairly pointless. I mean, I think I think it's fairly easy to say now, and that the Triumph Hurdle horses last year were rubbish, with the possible exception of one. Who is Goshen?
He needs to come back and
who needs to come
find
back,
an extra leg.
Even his followers have had a couple of wake-up calls with, getting fairly well thumped in a couple of flat races.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it doesn't matter how good they look against each other. Sometimes your Triumph horses aren't that good, and they don't look that good to me.
If you're Gary Moore and you've got Botox Haas, and you think that, from what Gary says, and, Goshen's best horse he's ever trained, he must be way ahead. What are you thinking now? You're thinking, right, I cannot wait to get Goshen back on track. My horse that cannot go near him on the gallops has just come out and thumped.
Yeah, but it's what you do. It's what you do on the track, not off it, isn't it? And we've got to wait and see. We've got to find out whether he is that good over jumps, and he's just lost a bit of his sparkle on the flat. He's got questions to answer now for sure.
Questions to answer. Gavin Lynch, that had a beady eye on Cheltenham last weekend.
Yeah, I thought Fusel Raffles was very good on the Friday. Its time was 1 second quicker than Rouge Vif, so that's 16 to 1 for the Arkle. I thought Galvin was very good in the 3 Mile Novice. It's heading for the National Hunt Chase over 3-6. I think it's 6 to 1 favourite. Second season novice, so it's had 8 runs over fences. It'll suit Jamie Codd. It was second to Imperial Aura, Keels' favourite ever horse. And I thought Manila Indo was very, very good in Wexford as well.
Oh, I really like him going forward. I'm still a bit perplexed about how he got beaten at the Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah, that was... I had him backed anti-post, so that was a bit sore, all right, to see him get caught late on. At the time of the race in Wexford, 6 minutes, 8 seconds. It was 16 seconds per furlong. And Andy Dufresne wasn't much quicker, even though it was only over 2 miles, so it was a very fast time. He gave Milan 8 of 5 pounds and beat at 25 lengths, so Manila Indo is definitely going to take high rank this season.
What sort of trip are we expecting him? Do you think he's an out-and-out star? I see he's quoted for races over shorter as well.
I know he'll definitely end up in the Gold Cup, definitely. He'll end up in Leopardstown twice, I suppose, and then on to the Gold Cup in Cheltenham.
Yes, absolutely. Lexus time. Here we come. Always getting exciting, isn't it? Pat Cooney, let's come to you. Doncaster last weekend, the final Group 1 of the season. Max Swiney took it out for Jim Bolger. Really well backed.
Yeah, there was a few quid around for him. Of course, he had beaten Wembley, who was the favourite with scratch because of the ground early on in the year. So few value hunters thought 20 was fair. It was a war of attrition, though, wasn't it? It was a real hard work for the very testing ground. But full credit to him. And of course, he's in great hands with Jim Bolger. Whether that's classic winning form, I don't know. He looks as though he might want even further. So you'd be lukewarm about going forward. But, it's just some juvenile season up, really. Just scratching around for clues in all races.
And Pat, you've got a question for Gav, of course. We called it on the show, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? It looked like Colin Keane was being given a dress rehearsal for the Ballydoyle job. Can't back him now for it, of course, next year.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You'd wonder, will Love get in the way? Colin is obviously going out with Ger's daughter, the last I heard, so presumably Ger will give his blessing to that. If he does move to Ballydoyle, then will Colin ride most of the ones in Ireland and would ride the ones in England. So Colin is probably the best jockey in Ireland, so it'd be a fantastic gig for him to get. It is the main job, so yeah, I think it'd be a great fit.
Looks like he's going to be crowned on as champion jockey, doesn't he? Shane Foley just tailed off a little bit, and of course he goes to the Breeders' Cup as well. Okay, that was the racing that was. Sticking at Wetherby then for the 210, it is a mares hurdle, mares division. There is a real obsession with these mares at the minute. Loads of opportunities out there. And Pat Cooney, we've got a hot pot.
We absolutely have Verdana Blue, who's been in fine form on the flat. Ran ever so well at Royal Ascot. Ran a big race in the Cesarewitch. Beaten at Kempton last time out. But again, Silver Streak is a very streaky horse. Verdana Blue, she's packets in hand on the official races. She's fully fit. See you in the winner's enclosure.
I'll just get this out of the way. She wins for me as well. I'm pretty sure she wants a bit further now. You remember they ran her in the Ascot Stakes. She's a horse that wants a proper test on the flat. I've throughout my racing tutelage, I've always thought if a horse stays well on the flat, it's going to want further than 2 miles or appreciate further than 2 miles. It's not always the case, but I think they just crack on with this. And even if she runs to that below 4 mark, she's going to beat this lot.
I worried whether she would actually stay as far as she did in the Ascot Stakes, and it seems that does seem to be her strength now. And she certainly got outspeeded at Kempton.
She gifted that race to Silver Streak,
but that was in her optimum conditions. And you got to remember, like I said, there's lots of rain coming now. I was speaking to Keith. Keith Melrose yesterday, and he said he'd be surprised if it's not really soft already. And this is before the 10 to 12 mil they got forecast Saturday morning. Now, they've said all along she doesn't want soft ground. Obviously, she was second in an Ebor on soft ground, but York soft ground on the flat in the summer.
It wasn't quick at Ascot, though, Kills. I know it's slightly different ground.
Yes, I know, but, the not quick flat ground is quick jumps ground. And we know that. And if it gets really deep, I wouldn't surprise me if she didn't even run, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me because they will take her out if it gets deep. She's got loads in hand, but she isn't going to run to her best. She doesn't need. She's another one that doesn't need to.
She can run a stone below.
I think she'd probably win, but because there's been so much each way money for White Hot Chili Filly in the week, as the big danger, she's actually become miles too short.
Yes.
In the betting compared to her relations in class with the rest.
Harry Fry's had a good week, hasn't he?
He has had a good week, and I just thought that Rosie Millie of Michael Scudamore's, who travels nicely in soft ground, just about got outstayed by Desiree Girl over 2 mile 3 at Haydock when last seen in heavy, but back to 2 mile on soft ground. I think she'll run a nice race. If there was 8 runners, I'd be saying have a good each way bet.
Michael Scudamore's in good form as well, isn't he?
He is in good form. He had a good win at Kelso the other day with some chaos. And so I think Rosie Millie will run well. I shall back her with and without the favourite.
Brian Edson was very keen on Mrs. Hyde on the panel last week. She takes her place as well. Gavin Lynch, tell us who's going to win the mare's hurdle.
I think on good ground, Verdana Blue is a 4th one on shot, but to back a horse that hates soft ground on soft ground at odds on is a bit needy and greedy. I won't back her, I won't lay her. She'll probably win, but I think a 2's on for a horse that doesn't like soft ground. I think it's too short.
And what's the alternative then? Just not play?
Don't have one. She's 24 pounds clear on the rest. White Hot Chili Filly, who was well beaten 17 lengths in the mare's novice hurdle. That doesn't look an alternative. I don't know, Dave, but I think I'll leave that race alone.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether she turns up or not then, because they will, of course, Nicky Anderson's representatives walk the track. That will give you an indication of how the track's riding. 2:45, the West Yorkshire Hurdle then, all grade 3 for the stayers. This takes some getting. This has been a graveyard for some favourites. A really interesting race. Gavin Lynch has come to you with this because there is a potential fly in the ointment for them all in Next Destination.
Yeah, potentially. He's been off for 920 days. Very, very good stayer for Willie Mullins. Won the grade 1 in Punchestown. Is he going to be gun fit? We don't know. Personally, I'd go for Roxana getting the weight. She's getting 13 pounds off Liz Nagar Oscar. The stairs hurdle to me was a poor event. It was 3 seconds quicker was the Pertemps final on the same day. I'd be against Liz Nagar Oscar giving the weight away. So for me, Roxana, she's been over 3 miles twice at Aintree. She was second to Santini, and if the cap fits on soft ground. So to me, her getting the weight is the value bet.
It's great to have Gavin back, isn't it? Do you reckon while we've all been concentrating on the end of the flat, do you reckon he's just had his stopwatch looking over videos the whole time?
Yeah, it could well be.
I like Roxana as well.
I like her from a form thing. I think she's a little bit of a madam these days.
Do you know what my worry is with her, Kills?
A bit of a tail flasher.
Did she get over last year that humdinger that she had at Aintree when she got beaten by If the Cap Fits? Do you remember? Apples Jabers.
I mean, she's always looked really game, but I think she's a bit of a thinker at the same time. You know what I mean? I'm just a little bit concerned about her. Probably shouldn't be. The thing about Lisnagar Oscar is until he ran in the Stayers Hurdle, he was actually rated lower than the vast majority of the horses in this race, and now he's got to give them all £6 because he won it. He is rated so much higher, but was that race any good? I mean, it just seemed like
it wasn't. It was all about Basie Barker.
One of those strange, crazy races that you get at Cheltenham every now and again. So I'm not having it. I was hoping that Gav would tell me something about Decor Ireland Day because I quite like the look of that. Travels really well. Actually, 2 starts ago, dropped down to 2 mile at Galway and ran 4 for 15, probably his best ever run by a long way at 2 mile. And then just one with a little bit up his sleeve last time as well, back up to 2 mile 7. I think travels well, handles the ground okay, and is improving at the right time for a smaller stable.
That's the Kealy hope.
Yeah.
Gav?
Yeah, he'd have to have a chance. He won a handicap hurdle in Killarney off 139. He ran well at Warwick one day as well last season. He'd have to have a chance, but you just don't know if he's quite up to that grade. But Jay, he'd have an each way shout.
Very interesting. I remember at Catterick last year when he looked absolutely tailed off. He came through to win as he liked. He's a talented horse, isn't he? Pat Cooney, who's going to win?
I'll have to go for Roxana. She gets the mayor's allowance. You know, she gets £13 from Lisnagar Oscar. There has been good money for her, so I respect the move for her in the market, and I respect the weight allowance. So Roxana for me.
Nice and succinct from Pat there. Happy days. Interesting race, the Yorkshire Hurdle. Right then, time for the big calls. This is going to be interesting this week, isn't it? Let's go to Pat Cooney. He's got something he wants to get off his chest.
Well, I'm just looking ahead to next year. No Enable, no Pinatubo. The 3-year-olds don't look much cop at the moment. It's tender field for every classic at the moment. Where is the next superstar? I can only find 2. Love, if she stays in training. The Japanese superstar Contrail. I've just 2 of my shortlist. We need something to emerge.
We do need something to emerge. Thunder Moon for me. He got beaten in the Duras, back on decent ground. That for me was the 2-year-old performance of the year in the National Stakes. And also Oxted, Roger Teal, is making noises about how pleased he is with him going into the winter quarters. Watch back that Champions Day sprint. He is airborne for a long way. I think he will be the sprinter to beat next year. That would be my take on the flat next year.
Yeah, I've put my jumps head on already, mate. I'm afraid. I mean,
You've gone?
I'll wait and see and wait for these stars to emerge, but I can't say there's anything that's really excited me about next year.
Muddled Waters. What's your big call?
Well, saying I've got my jumps head back on, what we're doing is we're running these Racing Post stable tours at the moment, and they want an expert to cast their eye over the horses, and I got to Nicky Henderson, and I was looking at them, and I thought, well, that one's too obvious, that one's too obvious. You know, I want to try and find something that might slip under the radar, and I came down to Precious Cargo. Now he ran in Imperial Aura's race at Cheltenham, and he went off from the front. And he fell 2 out. Now, he'd only just about been headed by Imperial Aura, and he probably was beaten at the time. But he jumped beautifully all the way around there. He's a 7-year-old who's absolutely massive. And that was only his 4th run over fences, his first run in handicap company in any sphere. And I just think, you know, OK, he's going to be turning 8 this year, but he is a horse that's going to strengthen and he's going to win a nice handicap this year.
This Imperial Aura race, I mean, honestly, I know it was one of the biggest gambles
it was an exceptionally good race.
But you love this form, don't you? I mean, what's he going to win Imperial Aura this year?
Well, I don't know, because he's gone up massively in the weights, hasn't he?
Is he a Ryan Owls?
He could well be. He could turn into a Gold Cup horse if he stays. We'll find out. He's going to be tried at 3 mile, isn't he? So we shall see. But yeah, it's obviously very good form. Look at what Galvin's done since. You know, the pair of them were miles clear, obviously, but it was a red-hot race. Galvin's going to be favourite for another novice chase at the festival next year.
Yeah, all being well. It would be sod's law, wouldn't it, the year we're having? They scrapped the novice handicap, Gav, and last year's form works out to be absolutely sizzling. Have you got a big goal? I bet you have.
It's great to hear Keel's talking about Imperial Aura anyway. For a change, do you want me to give you a few horses or a complaint?
No, whatever. You could just take the floor.
Take both.
The complaint is about jockeys when the ground is soft. The other day I was catching up in videos, so I watched videos on the flat from Navan, Gorham Park, Naas, Ferry House and Leopardstown. And I just can't believe the amount of jockeys that stay to the inside and don't come down the outside. I find it perplexing. Like, the only jockey who always gets it right is Patrick Mullins in bumpers. You watch him in a bumper, he's always in the right position. He comes down the outside if the ground is soft. He runs around the track beforehand. He's professional, even though he's an amateur. And he doesn't mess it up. But I just can't understand why jockeys so often go down the inside on soft ground.
There you go. OK, one for you. What about a couple of horses to follow then, Gav?
I'll give you 4 horses from last Sunday. 2 from Galway. Discordantly, he was very impressive. He's going for the Tri-Town next. He got £10. He's up to 142. He jumped really, really well. At a very low level, Rock on Barney is going to win again, I think. And there was 2 on Sunday in Wexford. Spades or Trumps, we'll say, got a kind right to be second. And Clongyle Way, if that horse ends up maybe in a staying handicap chase, he'll win again. And one horse who to take on maybe in the Hatton's Grace is Beacon Edge. I think that form from Galway is not much.
Very interesting. Just while you're noting this down out there, I'll give you a moan about jockeys as well. Blindfolds in the stalls. It's been something that's been blighting us for a long time. As there have been a couple of high-profile ones recently. I've been analysing these races, and I cannot work out why a jockey takes a blindfold off late. You're more than welcome to come in, jockeys, with your comments below and let me know. But I think there has something. The BHA's got to look at this, Keels. If you're a jockey, it's why am I taking a blindfold? If part of riding should be to take off a blindfold on time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you talk about this, but I mean, obviously these horses, you know, they're highly strung. There's a reason they still wear a blindfold while they're in the stalls. Now, I actually think I take it one step further and say if a horse cannot stand still in the stalls without a blindfold on, then it shouldn't be racing, because you are always going to have this problem because, you know, you're waiting for the stalls to open. Yeah. You want that click, and then we'll take it off. It's like, you know what I mean? Only needs has to get caught over an ear or something, and then you can't, and then you can't pull it off, and then the horse has got no chance, and punters have done their money. I mean, if horses are that allergic to the stalls, you either got to train them and get it out of them, or just don't let them run.
I think it's all about the training. Should jockeys be banned for removing one late? I'll let you decide. Get your comments below. Okay, also a great jumps card. Welcome back the jumpers at Ascot, my favourite jumps track out there. I'd usually be there this meeting, so I'm going to feel COVID very much indeed. It's a really good card though. And the highlight is the 340 Sodexo Gold Cup. Can often see a Grand National horse in this. I like one at the bottom of the weights. There's been anti-post gambles all this week. I'm sure you'll tell us, Skills, because you look at these races on a Monday night. What price do you think Whatmore would go off? He's the one I want to be with.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think he'll go off any shorter than he is now, around about 5-1. He was obviously a lot bigger. I think, you know, we had Surname at the top of the weights, which, you know, and Paul Nicholls was talking about he might have run it and he'd have been miles out of the handicap then, but now he's got in on 10 stone 3. Some of his chase form last season was really good. He got given an awful lot to do in what was the old racing post chase at Kempton. He came through, finished 4th.
We liked him that day.
The leader actually took it up a mile out and he was still last at that point. And he ran well there, and then he ran on into 4th behind the Imperial Aura, in that novice chase at the festival. You know, so he has got a fine chance. Still worries me that Richard Johnson's really struggling, although he's had some, you know, better
you've got to be in your bonnet about this, haven't you?
I have got a little worry. You know, a man who's been first or second in the Jockeys Championship for 20 odd years, and he's, you know, his strike rate's around about 10%.
He gave something a peach at Taunton when I was analysing that the other day.
But yes, he did. Yes. So hopefully it's just a run of things, and it's all going to come good. But I mean, Whatmore definitely has got a chance. Now I just wonder, now they know he stays with that Kempton run, whether they might want to go from the front with him, because he won from the front over hurdles at Bangor and looked pretty strong from the front there, so that could be an interesting option for him. But I think he's reasonably well handicapped. I have had a couple of quid at a much bigger price on Flying Angel, who just likes Ascot.
I think he's one of your horses, this.
He is, but he won by 8 lengths off the same mark over 2 mile 5 furlong on soft ground there last year on his second start of the season, having been 4th in the old road. Skipped the old road this year. He comes straight here. He's been placed in Ascot chases before, as well as that win, and he's not badly handicapped. Anyways, I don't think it's brilliant for the money.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Gav Lynch, what's your take on the Sodexo?
It's 4-1 the field, but I think I have a 2-1 winner for you, Dave.
Crack on! Not Imperial Aura, is it, by any chance?
That's the Irish way of doing it. I'm going to back Regal Encore to be placed. He's won 3 times around Ascot, was second in this race last year. He won round there in December, was 3rd in the new year. He's off 140 odd. His rating is basically around the same for the last year. So to me, he loves the track. I know he's 12, but I think he's a great chance of being placed.
Yeah, if Vindication goes and wins the Charlie Hall, we could see last year's race very well advertised by old Regal Encore. Great to see him. Pat Cooney, who do you think will win the race?
I'm going to go for Whatmore. I just think he's got this progressive profile. Plenty to like about his form. I think he'll have a good season, and I think he may be my favourite.
3 ticks for Whatmore. Could he go off Fav? Right then, across the Irish Sea go we to Down Royal finally. It is the Grade 1 action of the weekend over there. It is the Champion Chase indeed. This has been won by some real top notchers. Gav Lynch, let's go to you, give you the floor. Is Delta Work going to bounce back from his performance in this race last year, or are you taking him on?
I think he deserves another chance. I think one secret to Delta Work is the jockey. I think Jack Kennedy really gets on very well with him. He's 2 from 2. I think that the horse suffered by not having Jack in the Gold Cup. Mark Walsh is a fantastic jockey, but I just think that Delta Work is a bit quirky. You have to let him get into his own rhythm. He won first time out 2 seasons ago. Gordon Ellie is really, really attacking this meeting. He's got 12 favourites out of 14 races. He also has Presenting Percy, obviously, and the Storyteller. But I think Delta Work at 15 to 8. I think that's about right. I think he should win.
I'm hoping that the lack of punches down and a proper summer on his back does see him come good as well. I'm giving him a chance. Well, surprising, he's just a 7-year-old Delta Work, isn't he? He's French bred. He did win at this meeting 2 years ago in a beginner's chase. He sort of scraped home that day, but this
is your issue. He scraped home that day, and he didn't just get beat last year. He got funked. Now,
too bad to be true.
Well, too bad to be true. At the time, Gordon Elliott said he's nowhere near as fit as he could get him. He badly needed to run. Now, it all depends on what his plans are. It didn't stop him coming out and doing the Leopardstown double in the grade.
It's got to be that again, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's it. But they're the real targets. I mean, nobody says at the end of the year who won the Champion Chase at Down Royal in October.
Well, don't you remember some top notches used to come out with
but some have it. But it is not a prime target for Delta Work. And that's what I'm saying. It's probably not a prime target for Presenting Percy, who in any case has got a bit of a checkered
history. Could he be going right over him this year?
Well, I mean, you've moved him from one trainer from Pat Cooney to Gordon Elliott, but it reminds me of Flemenstar getting moved as well years ago when he'd sort of lost the plot. And sometimes it just doesn't work. He's an older horse now, and he just isn't as good as he was.
It's going to be put up some wonderful to watch.
I think they're again a bit like Wetherby. They got stacks of rain forecasts and more, so the only yielding ground will be borderline soft on the day, and I think the horse that runs well fresh all the time is Chris's Dream. Remember him running away with the Troy Town last year.
Yeah.
And I think if he's going to win a Grade 1, because he probably just falls a bit level short, then a bit like it was Road to Respect last year, this will be his race to win, because he will be fit and he'll be ready to go. He's always gone well fresh. I think he's won 4 times in his life when he's had a break of at least 11 weeks, and 2 of those were after 200 days odd off. So, I think he's the one that is the most likely to win if Delta Work isn't as fit as he needs to be. And judging by the Elliott pattern, I don't think he will be.
Yeah, that's interesting. I must admit, with Puppy Power going over, of course, he can do that in these Grade 1 races. What put you off the Henry de Bromhead Raider there, Gav?
Yeah, I think Chris's Dream is definitely the biggest danger. As we said, as Paul said, he's won first time out the last 2 seasons, was very impressive in the Troy Town. He was good again in Gorham Park. Is he a top Grade 1? Maybe not, but he to me is a huge danger. I just hope that Delta Works class will get him through.
What sort of price might Chris's Dream get into then, with a lot of love expected out there, Pat Cooney?
Well, at the moment, he's 3rd favourite, but I could certainly see him overtaking Presenting Percy as being 2nd favourite. I think Presenting Percy seems a dreadfully short price to me. I'm just going to keep it simple. Delta Work is the best horse in the race. We are talking Gordon Elliott. He's going to be pretty near 100%, if not 100%, and he's the best in the race. So I think Delta Work will win.
This is extremely exciting, isn't it? So the panel basically think if Delta Work's fit, he probably nearly wins. Expect to move on Chris's Dream. Right then, time for the weekend winners. Where are we going? 3:05 at Ascot. I expect Kid Commando to be too good in what looks a fairly open handicap. Anthony Hunterbull's Raiders are getting going. Aidan Coleman, I know, is extremely excited about this. He likes the track. Kid Commando for me. Paul Kealy.
You've stolen my thunder. Am I allowed to nap the same one?
You are.
Kid Commando.
Double nap.
It really annoyed me because I was all over him, and then I saw that he had this entry at Carlisle on Sunday. Over 2.5, which he is bred to get. I'm in an hour, and Carlisle race was more valuable too. But yeah, all over him. I think.
Who are you looking forward to taking on? Is that if there's a layer out there, people might like to try and lay. Which is the fav that you've really got a target on? Have we spoke about?
Well, I'm not really looking forward to taking on Surname because I just don't know. I'm going to have a couple of digs at Verdana Blue if it gets really soft. Though we'll see what happens in the first couple of races. But I will have a couple of digs. She's miles clear on form, but really deep ground's not for her.
Okay, a double nap and a lay then. Let's go to Gavin Lynch.
Envoy Allen each way in a beginner's chase and Down Royal.
So what price are we getting? 2 to 1.
I'm going to go for Paranoid in the 3:35 in Down Royal on Saturday. Handicap chase over 3 mile. Switch from Pat Cooney to Gordon Elliott. It won that day, I think, of 110. Gets in here of 112. It jumped hurdles like it needed fences. Gordon has 12 favourites out of 14 in Down Royal, and I think Paranoid will win. And on Sunday, in the bumper in Cork, Brooklyn Glory, I think it's called, of Willys. That should win on Sunday.
Oh, happy days. It takes us right to the end at Cork. Okay, Pat Cooney, give us a winner.
Ascot 155, Iblio trained by Venetia Williams, who had a winner earlier on in the week. It's straightforward, really. Soft ground, Ascot. Venetia's DNA this. Lightly race. Have a good season. I expect to win on Saturday.
Lovely. There's our DNA then. Our weekend winners for you. Right then, that's us signing off here on What a Shout. What a weekend it has been. Paul Kealy, thank you very much.
No problem.
Feet up this weekend, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, can't think I'm doing anything. I'm toying with the idea of going on the wagon for the whole of November, so I might have a few sneaky ones tomorrow.
Let's move on straight away. Gavin Lynch, thank you so much for coming back. We've had you on as a pundit. We've now had you on as a guest. You excited about Upping the Ante? What a weekend. Gav, good to see you looking so well, my man.
Thank you, yeah. No, it should be a good race in Down Royal and so on, and Wetherby, yeah.
Don't forget you can catch Gav and DJ David Jennings on the 10th, Tuesday the 10th, Upping the Ante comes back. Sponsored by Bet365, who also every week give us Pat Cooney.
Yes, looking forward to the Charlie Hall chase in particular. Great couple of days racing here at Wetherby. Shame there's no crowds. It's always a great atmosphere. But looking forward to tomorrow.
We're all looking forward to tomorrow. The weekend's going to be great. Good luck wherever you are going. Next week, it will all be about the Breeders' Cup. We've got a special guest for you. Do tune back in then. Do gamble responsibly. So many races. The jumpers are just coming on out. Take your time, hone on in. Do download the free Racing Post app. That's on the App Store or the free Google Play Store. So, from me, David Orton, get your comments in below. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. #WhatAShout.